Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over 5 things that disappointed me on Urgot and 5 things that pleasantly surprised me. I thought I'd make this video for fun just because I've done so much limit testing with Urgot, and I just want to go over the things that I found interesting and the things that I found to be really bad personally. And I'm also going to be throwing some gameplay on the background, and it's a match that I haven't uploaded to YouTube before. So let's jump right into it with the things that disappointed me. And number 1 on this list is going to be Manamune slash Fimbulwinter. I'm putting these together since they're both tier items. Tier just takes way too long to stack, man. I've tried this build out like between 5 and 10 times at least, and I think every time it's been bad. I've had a lot of games where I actually get first blood and I end up starting tier and it still just takes way too long to stack. And the reason for that is because Urgot's W doesn't stack tier. It's only your Q and your E, and you can't really spam those in lane. So it just takes a really long time to stack up. And in my experience, once I got Manamune stacked, you usually get it stacked around like 25-30 minutes. It makes you really squishy because it provides no HP, and the damage really isn't that insane. It is decent damage, but for how much you have to invest and like change your build, it just hasn't felt worth it to me. And then Fimbulwinter on the other hand is kind of the same deal. It just takes a really long time to stack up, and you don't really have too many ways to proc it, and I don't even think the shield is that big personally, and it is a lot harder to proc since you're also counted as a ranged champion. So yeah, that's been the biggest disappointment of like limit testing any item that I've ever had. And by the way, for these items that I'm disappointed in, it's stuff that I thought would be like kind of okay, or like maybe you could kind of make work. So I'm not going to throw like AP items up here, for example, because obviously that would be disappointing. So it's going to be stuff that I thought would maybe work, but it just turned out that it didn't work at all. So I just want to throw that in as a little disclaimer. Moving on to number 2 though is going to be Blade of the Rune King. And I don't know, if this item had like Omnivamp instead of Lifesteal, I feel like there'd maybe be some potential. But Lifesteal just doesn't seem that good on Urgot. It only works on your W damage, and a lot of your damage is actually coming from your passive shotgun knees. So that's why you want Omnivamp if you're going for any type of like heal build with Urgot. And then there's also a bit of a wasted attack speed. It's not too bad, but yeah, I don't know. This item just never felt that good in my testing. No HP again too, so it leaves you kind of squishy, which I just don't really like. But yeah, I honestly thought Blade of the Rune King would be like better DPS than it actually feels like. It doesn't even feel like that good of a DPS item. The one thing that's cool about it is it does magic damage, so you get a bit of like split damage if people are armor stacking. I have thought about maybe trying this into like Scion or something, but I think in most matchups it's just not worth it. Moving on to number 3, we have Grasp of the Undying, and this one might seem kind of obvious because if you are a ranged champ, then the grasp does get a little bit gutted. I thought it would still be like okay for lane phase maybe, especially into like tanks. I used to try this out quite a bit. It's been a long time since I've tried it, but the reason for that is because it wasn't going very well when I was testing it out. And yeah, there's not too much to say about this one. I thought it would be a little bit better, but it's just not. All right, moving on to number 4 is going to be Serpent's Fang, and this item hasn't been absolutely terrible, but it's been a little bit disappointing for me. I've only built it when they've had like really heavy shields, and that's the only time where I'd really consider building it. I have a lot of people ask me about this item for some reason. I've never really liked it personally. I've seen some other Urgots build it, and I do think lethality is a very good stat on Urgot because your shotgun knees hit so hard. But I'm just not a huge fan, man. I'd rather get a different lethality item. I do think some of the other lethality items are pretty nice. And I also gotta say, I don't know exactly why Serpent's Fang feels so bad. I don't know if the item's just like not very cost efficient or something, because I don't really see many other champs build it either. But yeah, in my testing, it just hasn't been too good, personally. Alright, number 5 on the list is gonna be Even Shroud, and this item's actually really popular in Urgot right now. Especially, I know there's a few like Korean Urgots that are pretty high elo building it. So I definitely don't think the item is bad. I'm just throwing it on this list because I've personally been disappointed every time I've built it, and I don't know if I'm using the build wrong, if I'm like doing something wrong. It is very cheap, so that's definitely a big selling point, I think. But every time I've built it, my game has been kind of bad, and I would just rather have a different mythic personally. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to do more testing with it. I probably have like somewhere between 5 and 10 games with it, and I've had like one game where it's had pretty good stats, but otherwise it's been pretty bad for me. But like I said, at the same time, it is really cheap, and you are getting some tank stats out of it, so I feel like it can't be too bad. But personally, most games, I just feel like I'd rather have a different mythic. Alrighty, moving on to the things that pleasantly surprised me on Urgot. Number one on this list, man, it's gotta be Fleet Footwork. I've been super surprised by this rune, like no exaggeration, man. I do think PTA is obviously still a very good rune on Urgot. I just think in matchups where it's hard to proc PTA, I've been going Fleet. And I've just been shocked by this rune, man, in a very good way. I've had a lot of games where I have like between 7 and 10k heals, which is absolutely crazy on Urgot. It's definitely the most healing you can get with Urgot. If you like any type of heal builds, definitely try out Fleet. And not only that, but you're also getting the increased movement speed, so that allows you to reposition, and it also allows you to get your shotgun knees off quicker. So you technically are getting more damage as well with this rune. Maybe not more damage than PTA, but you're still getting a damage boost if you're able to get your shotguns off quicker and just like position better. So I don't know, this rune's been really nice. In lane phase, it's not insane, but come mid game, mid and late game, dude, the healing just kicks in and it's just absolutely crazy. So it is getting nerfed pretty soon. I think it's still going to be okay after the nerf. But it doesn't surprise me it's getting nerfed, man. Like I said, I've just been so surprised by this rune with how good it's been. It's definitely been the thing that has surprised me the most out of anything I've tested on Urgot. Like, hands down, it's been Fleet. Coming in at number 2 on this list is going to be Turbo Chem Tank, and I don't know why my Turbo Chem Tank games have gone extremely well. The stats are very comparable to Frostfire, but you get that active, which gives you a nice little speed boost, and you can also use that while you're going for a grinder, so it can allow you to actually get pretty good fears off. Something that I've noticed from watching my VODs with Turbo Chem Tank is the ability haste has actually been kind of clutch, especially in those late games where there's just like so many team fights. It's nice having your ulti on a really short cooldown, and then you also get 2 E's off in a team fight if it's kind of like a extended team fight. It definitely depends on how the team fight is played, but there's a lot of games that I've had with Turbo Chem Tank where the team fights are like that. And yeah, I actually don't know what it is exactly when it comes to Turbo Chem Tank and why my games have been so good with it. I don't know if trading that little bit of HP from Frostfire for a little bit of utility is like that much of a difference, but yeah, my Chem Tank games have gone really well, so apparently there might be something there, or I could just be getting lucky, who knows. Number 3 on this list is going to be Sterax Gauge, and I kind of knew this item was going to be good after the Bruiser item rework, but I didn't know it was going to be as good as it is. It feels much better than I actually thought it would be. One thing I will say is I don't get to build this item all the time because I do feel like it's more of a late game item, just because it scales off your base AD and then also the shield scales off your bonus HP. So I've been building it more as like a 4th or 5th item. So there's a lot of games where it obviously just ends before I get there. But when I do get there, it feels really good, man. That shield is really nice. You're getting a bunch of damage and HP from the item, so the stats feel really good. And yeah, it's honestly surprised me, man. The shield feels better than I thought it would, and all around just a good solid item. Moving on to number 4 is going to be Divine Sundeer, and I've been testing this item out recently quite a bit again. I've only been building it into like heavy tank matchups and matchups that just get a ton of HP like Scion, and I've been pretty surprised, man. The Sheen is really easy to proc as long as you're able to do the W toggle pretty well. The big downside of this item is the fact that it is gutted for range champions, so if they ever remove the range penalty on this item, I think it would be so good on Urgot, man. But this item also is getting buffed in an upcoming patch. They're actually raising the percent damage that it does by like 3%, I think. So I don't know, man. I think as a tank buster item, it's pretty good. The mythic passive also gives you percent armor pen, which is really nice, and the stats are just pretty solid, like HP, damage. At least for an offensive item, it kind of gives you a little bit of bulkiness, and it gives you that little bit of heal as well. So as far as offensive mythics go, it's actually been pretty good. I've either been going this or Eclipse pretty much. I don't really build Gore Drinker on Urgot anymore because I think they just took off too much HP when they did the Bruiser item rework, and I don't think the item was like super insane on Urgot. But yeah, who knows, man. With Divine getting buff, if they ever take off that range penalty, which they probably won't just because the item is so good on champs like Ezreal if they do that, but if they ever did that, man, I could see it being super good on Urgot. And yeah, even right now, it's not feeling too bad. So if it gets overbuffed, maybe it will be a pretty good offense option, like especially into the tankier team comps. All right, last but not least on this list is going to be Force of Nature, and this is another item I don't get to build too often because I only really go Force of Nature if they have super heavy AP team comp. But in the games where I've built it, man, it's been surprising. The movement speed feels really nice, and it gives you 70 magic resist, which is kind of crazy if you compare that to the other magic resist items. And then you also get that passive that like blocks more magic damage once it stacks up. So yeah, once you get this item stacked, it feels really good. The movement speed feels good, and I think there's also just like not very good magic resist options on Urgot, and I think that has kind of changed a little bit, I guess, with them changing around Death Dance, and they kind of buffed up Ma a little bit. But to me, Force of Nature still feels like the best MR item if you really need magic resist. And yeah, it's honestly surprised me, man. It's felt good in the games where I've built it. It is a low sample size. I haven't built it too often, but again, in the games where I've built it, it's felt pretty good. It feels like it counters AP pretty well. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for the top 5 items that disappointed me and surprised me on Urgot. So let me know in the comments if you guys had any items that you've personally limit tested and you've been surprised with or disappointed with. And who knows, man, maybe I'll try them out. Maybe I have tried them out and I just didn't include them in this video. But yeah, let me know. And also let me know what you think of this video format. I'm always going to keep doing the Urgot gameplays because that's what I enjoy doing. But I also do like just making these videos, just like talking about whatever I feel like talking about. And yeah, let me know what you think of this video format, and let me know if you guys have any other ideas of what type of video formats you'd like to see. And yeah, drop a like if you guys want, drop a sub if you guys want, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves, everyone.